Hi. I wanted to do a little summary on the whole Radicoida time travel thing because I have done loads of investigation into it over the last week and more. I've had a bunch of people helping me. We've got a load of new information, and I really feel like, no joke, this is the thing everyone should be focused on. Anyway, so I want to underline a few bits of data that we verified. So it happens at every single Radicoida site present in HIP 87621. When you instance with them, the first time in your game session that you instance with a Radicoida site, you will undergo a time skip or a misplacement in time. That is completely the case. It's not a bug, in my opinion, because it happens every time, only at Radicoidas. The only way to get out of the state is to log out of the game away from a Radicoida and then log back in. And then you'll log back into real time. But all the time that you're physically at them, if you log out and log back in, you'll just load the game in this state. We've proven every single variation of the process of trying to prove that other points of interest can invoke this sort of time skip. We've not found any yet. We've noticed no impact from bringing items such as Guardian relics, Thargoid relics, and stuff like that. Thargoid Titan Drive components, all the things. We've brought as many of them as we could to the site. We've noticed no change. But we've not tried everything exhaustively. So all the random salvage bits like AI relics, SAP 8 cores, we've not tried any of that stuff. So we need a bunch of extra help. The time misplacement appears to be consistent for everybody. It's about 3,850 days. It looks currently like it's trying to draw our attention to a date between May and August 3301, which is a clean 8 months into the game being released. Everything was up and running. We were fully in 1.0. Beyond was just coming out then, I think, and the Thargoids, the veil was being lifted on the Thargoids. It was around about the same time that it was being noticed by Canon that if you sold bulk unidentified probes to stations, it caused the stations to have malfunctions. I would just like to highlight, and please, if you have data to counter this, please do share it in the comments, but to the best of my knowledge, there is no official forum post from Frontier stating this theory is correct. If you sell unknown probes to a station, it will break. The only thing that happened was when the community got to a point where we knew it was the case and everyone was doing it and they were stitching each other up and stuff, and then people were complaining, "Oh, I was trying to do this in the background simulation, and then they UA bombed me." Then they did Galnet articles to confirm it, and we started getting community goals about how to source meta alloys to fix the stations, right? I am almost certain that that's what's happening here, that there is more to this than we're aware of, and they are not going to spoon feed it to us. It's going to require us to put our critical thinking hats on and use science to work out what's happening. It doesn't happen at any other POIs. Now, I can't underline this enough as to the main reason why I think this isn't a bug and that it's a feature. There is a crash site placed within the 90-kilometre range of a Radicoida site. It's 6 kilometres away. You can line those two circles up and fly away from them and then do a test where you approach the biosite and you end up entering the instance range of the crash site and nothing changes until you cross the instance range for the Radicoida. And then you go through the time skip. Likewise, if it was a bug with POIs, it would imply that when you instance with a POI, there's a way for a POI to set your game's date into this time. And obviously that would therefore mean that when you go to a Radicoida, you get time skipped, but then when you leave and say drop out at another Exobio site in a different star system, or when you go to a station and drop out a supercruise and instance with it, it would imply that at that point the normal timestamp should be reset, right? Your game should revert, but it doesn't. Your game enters a state where you are misplaced in time. Now, I want to be clear that as part of the official lore of this game, and I would recommend that you all go and watch Drew Wager's videos on this, because he is an official author. In the description of his videos, he names himself as an official author of Frontier Development's lore. He states as the first thing in his hyperdrive video, the first thing he talks about is how back in the day when hyperdrive was first developed, the two symptoms of it going wrong were atomic reconfiguration, so you come back all jumbled up, or time misplacement. And he just says it and then moves on. And he never comes back to time misplacement again. But I am certain that that's what we're encountering here. I would even go as far as to say it's plausible that this quinterium fuel is derived from these Radicoida. But that is proper tinfoil that we can get into another time. Now, I want to show you some stuff, because there are many other edits to this system, the HIP 87621 system, that no one's talking about, that have happened between legacy and current. So what we've done is we've looked at the system map in the legacy version in the consoles, and on PC we looked at, and then compared the data of everybody. And what's curious is they didn't just add the things they needed to add to the system in order to make the Radicoida planets. They also edited existing stuff. And from what I've been through, I mean, so there's two plausible realities to this. Either there is some sort of process they can run where they added in these planets and then they ran like an assessor on it to say, make this system make sense based on its generation name and what we've changed, right? So it could be that the Stellar Forge has this capacity where once you make edits to a system, it can then jig stuff about so that how you've edited it ends up how it should be procedurally generated. That is possible. I don't think we'll ever know. The other way you could interpret this is that they're trying to very clearly communicate to us that they can make very specific changes to these systems without causing time skips. I want to be clear. If you go to any of these places, if you land on Moon 6C in HIP 87621, which they reversed its orbit, you do not time skip at all. If you go into the orbit of this gas giant, that they increased its mass by 100 Earth masses and its radius by 10,000 kilometers, you do not time skip. In this, they say that they spoofed the data before. Fine, okay. I mean, it doesn't answer why there's stuff that's changed other than just adding in the systems, but that's beside the point. And then they also state that people that have been there have reported finding exobiological flora unlike any previously catalogued. Now, I'm sorry, but when I arrived, I was particularly underwhelmed because, to my mind, I have seen this before. Between these and this and this, there's nothing new here. Like, they are big fonticulars that have a stank cloud over them, and you can go and scan multiple sites. You're just taking Thargoid Spire site gameplay and applying it to an existing exobiological type. The only unique, unexplainable thing that happens at them is that you travel in time when you visit them. And I understand people are very resistant to this, but please just go and do it, and you'll see that it happens. Now, many people have said they believe it's not time travel because the internal clock isn't changing in your ship. So I just want to show you first, in this footage, Commander Rosen has very kindly gone into the time skip radius and then returned to this location, which is outside the time skip radius, and then started recording and sharing their screen with me in their instance, yeah? So I'm in real time here. This is the real time. If you go to HIP 87621 from anywhere else, this is what this body will look like when you descend to it, if you were there at this time. You can see me here on his screen. Right, so in this moment, you are seeing a bunch of stars now appear on this sky. You see here, there's this triangle. This is this triangle. Like, we just time traveled. We just shifted in time from when we were back to 25 minutes before Rosen started recording this. And I won't play the whole thing, but what we go on to do is sit there for 2 hours, and you can literally see you're watching the same scene at two different moments in time. Now, people have said that because the internal clock in the ship isn't changing, it's not time travel. I want to be clear. We've managed to invoke this state. Watch the clock. Now, I had an electrician arrive as this happened, so I had to run off. And then I had to literally end the stream, and I'm not certain exactly what I did to invoke this. Well, I am certain. I know that I was meddling with the system time on my PC, and once I shifted it, it went crazy and started doing this stuff. Which is why I'm saying what we're seeing at the Radicoida is a feature. This is the bug. Like, that is a bug, what you're seeing there. They have built time travel into this game. Now, I'm going to leave a little bit of tinfoil at the end for anyone that's interested what I think is going on here based on my knowledge of the lore. I think that this is the Thargoid's ultimate super weapon. I think that the reason Cole 70 sector is permit locked is not some great conspiracy. I think that it's trapped in time. I think that what the Thargoids do is they live in a plane of existence, which we call witch space, where there is no time. I believe that the Thargoids exist outside of time. And they have a reason to access space-time. It's useful to them. But what we see as Thargoids arriving at a point in time, seeding barnacles, and then coming back thousands of years later to get the resource, isn't to them a thing. They just travel to a place, and then they come back at a different time to get the thing they need. And, like, their ultimate weapon is that they can just break time in regions of space-time. So they can just grow this Radicoida that lock... Like, this is what I think happened with the Guardians. I think it's why the Guardians ran, because they realised that... But so that's quite tinfoily, and believe me, like, please segregate the things. Like, that at the end is my theory. Everything I've discussed before this is based on literal science that we've been doing, like tests, like controlled tests with hundreds of people watching on YouTube and Twitch. So please do get stuck in. I'm convinced that, I'm afraid to say, I think the Distant Worlds 3 expedition is going to turn out to be a thing the club have orchestrated in order to distract people away from the bubble. I think that it's plausible we're in for a situation where over the next 6 to 8 months, slowly, as the Radicoida sites grow, this time skip bubble is going to not just be local to them, it's going to be local to the whole system. Just like the just like the anti-Guardian field started off local to the orifices, if that's what they're called, sorry, and then eventually spread to the whole of HIP 22640. I think that we're going to end up in a situation where when you jump into HIP 87621, this time skip starts. And then from there, it will continue to grow. And it will eventually be any of the systems around it are isolated in time. And then there'll be new gameplay that evolves from there. But right now, what we need is way more science conducted and hundreds more upvotes on the issue tracker so that we can find out definitively, is this a bug or is this a feature? That's the only way to find out, okay? The only way to force the developers to tell us is if everyone that views this video tests it. Please test it and upvote the issue. Thank you so much. Thank you to all of you that have come by the stream and supported me during this. It's been fantastic talking about the lore with you all. And I think this is a really exciting predicament. I really look forward to seeing how this impacts the future of the game. So, 07, take care, Commanders. Bye!